I know. It's been a while. I've been, pretty booked solid with this move. I finally just got most of my stuff upstairs today, and we've been here for 2 weeks. Thanks to school and stress and everything else, I really haven't had a whole hell of a lot of time to do much. And it's been kind of wearing down on me. I'll admit, I've just been haywire. I've been everywhere at once, trying to keep up with everything, trying to get my finances straightened out, trying to keep up with, backlogs of work, trying to keep up with backlogs of the video, which I haven't been able to do. Still trying to figure out how to do the Soldier of Fortune brain chunk. That should be out, should be out fairly soon. I should get working on it fairly soon. Just some technical aspects I need to do for, like, effects. Not effects, I should say. I need extra people for it, is what it really comes down to. But with all the stress going on, girl I started dating decided, hey, you know what? You need a way to relax. I'm just going to take you out for a day. So we went to see Evil Dead yesterday. And I think you can tell I'm a fan of the original, cheesy horror movies, but hey, they're good. I saw the potential for them. Hey, get that out, buddy. Saw the potential for them to be actually really good horror movies. Hey, stop it! Cats. I'm a dog person, and I'm in a house with 3 cats. Stop it. I'll get the remote later. But, yeah. I would say I made the mistake of watching the original before watching the remake, and that's not... Damn it, really, cats? Not really a mistake, because as much as I liked the new one, the original's better. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is the original, You can't just remake Evil Dead and do a shot-by-shot remake. It wouldn't turn out as well. But here's the thing. The original had the potential to be scary on its own. The special effects were cheesy and some of the acting was very, very wooden. But just the concept of the Necronomicon, the Deadites possessing people, it was there. And that's something the remake tries to do, and I'll give them a lot of credit for it. They do it pretty well. Instead of having all the Deadites talk when they're possessing everyone, the only one that talks is the main Deadite who possesses Mia, who, despite being the main character, is possessed through 75% of the movie. I'll warn you guys right now, I am going to delve into spoiler territory. But, that was one of the big problems, is the main character she's barely there as herself through most of the movie, where her brother, who is essentially Ash, is there throughout the entire movie until the very end, and even then more heroic than her. I will give, God, what was her name? Jean Levi, something like that. She does the character well, especially when she's possessed. I mean, there are several parts when she's a demon that is just really, really well done. But it's when she's not a demon that she really, really, really doesn't. And I think a big part of this is the dialogue. She breaks character. Like, again, spoiler alert, big thing in the ending. She's fighting the final monster and her arm gets pinned under the Jeep. And the monster's crawling towards her, says, "I'm gonna kill you, you junkie!" And they cut the rest of the line because they had to cut it for some reason. And out of the blue, she's screaming in pain, goes, "Why does everyone keep harping on me like this?" Just, why was that even there? Why did she have to break character? Because throughout the rest of the movie, it was intense, it was gory, it was frightening. The, oh god, the syringe and the guys, like, right here. That made me squirm, because I cannot deal with needles and eyes, bamboo shoots and fingernails. I can't deal with that type of thing as much as I like horror. And they show a close-up of him pulling this needle out. I'm like, ugh. And then it's like the last 2 minutes, they made it into a comedy. Like the feast on this MFer, I'm trying to watch my language here, came out of the blue, and you could tell it was just supposed to be a throwback to Evil Dead 2. "I'll swallow your soul!" Swallow this. And it doesn't work in this movie because everything else is trying to be scary. And in the very beginning, the writing is just... You could tell the parts Diablo Cody wrote because they feel out of place with the rest of the movie. And that's the very beginning and the last 2 minutes. And the reason I say this is... I'm trying to find a nice way to say this, and I don't think there is. She should be writing movies. At least not horror. What was it? The one with Megan Fox, the Jennifer's Body. Terrible movie. Terrible writing, bad acting. This one is like the director and one of his friends wrote the middle of the script, but Diablo Cody wrote the beginning and the end and bookends it. And you can tell because they mention 4 times that David left the group and never came back. And they mention it with the same character, because the teacher, Eric, who is another really well-written character, and I'll get back to that too, who says 4 times, "Well, you've abandoned us. Why should I be your friend?" Exactly that way. Just every time. "You've abandoned us. You've abandoned us. You've abandoned..." It felt like a record being replayed. And that leads me to the characters in this. You have Mia, which was, when she was demonic, a very well-acted character, or being chased. Just not when she breaks character or tries to be serious. And I gotta respect the fact that instead of saying, "Hey, here's a group of friends going to a cabin in the woods," they're there to keep her from going back onto drugs. She drops a bag of heroin down a well and says she's trying to go cold turkey, and that's why they're there. And it was an interesting idea, especially when it gets to the climax of the movie. But it nullifies it again when the monster goes, "I'm going to kill you, you junkie," and she breaks character in the middle of the screen and goes, "Why does everyone harp on me like this?" Because she knows she's being forced through this. She's forcing herself through this. She shouldn't have to ask that. It was completely out of the blue. David, again, essentially Ash in the first movie. Not the second, the first movie. Maybe a bit in the second. Eric was a good character, and I want to know what the writers were thinking, even though I liked this about him. He pretty much gets killed 3 times over and comes back every time to save someone else's ass. And it's a bit unrealistic, but I liked it in his character anyway, because it felt like something a friend would do. Even in the very end, when he does something that I don't want to ruin, because it's a good moment compared to... It's a good moment for his character in contrast to what he was doing the whole time. Olivia, the nurse, was a pretty good character. I mean, even saying, when everything was starting going wrong with Mia, she's like, "I'm doing everything a hospital would do," when everyone's harping on her. And she has some of the scariest moments in the movie, I think. especially when she gets possessed. And it was one of the most intense parts of the movie. And then, this is something my girlfriend pointed out. There's a character that I did not know her name. I know they said it. I do know they have said it once in the movie. But I couldn't remember because she's barely in it. You're supposed to feel sympathetic for her. Like, her arm gets possessed and you hear one of the Deadites going, "Don't cut it off," as she's trying to cut it off with a turkey carver. And that led us to a discussion of, no, it wouldn't work on the bone. But, suspension of disbelief. And you're supposed to feel for her, like, when she dies. But I knew nothing about her other than, oh, well, she's here with them too. I didn't even realize she was supposed to be David's girlfriend until she died. Well, I did know that, but because she was barely there throughout most of the movie, it was kind of like, oh, well, why was she even there? And that felt, I think they could have hashed out her character a lot more, because everyone else in the movie was very, very well rounded. Their characterization was spot on. But her, it's like, oh, well, she's here too. Oh, by the way, she's dead. Oh, by the way, she's a deadite. Oh, by the way, now she's really dead. Though, again, she had some pretty creepy moments with the nail gun. Yeah, Olivia and the other girl, Natalie, probably some of the freakiest deadites there, which really left me disappointed with the last, not the big deadite, but the last person to get possessed, because he kind of just, it just looked like they put makeup on him, whereas everyone else had something wrong with their faces and their bodies, like nails shoved through them, chunks of faces missing. I mean, even Mia, the makeup they did on her was just utterly disturbing. And the yellow contacts, oh. And this is something else that I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're saying it's the most terrifying movie you'll ever see. That's not true. Frankly, I thought Mama was scarier, and I liked Mama. I thought the original Evil Dead was scarier than this, but it was still really scary. It's a case of mixing up scary with gory. And I'm not even joking here, this movie is pretty, almost, like, very close to being as gory as Dead Alive or Brain Dead. Same movie, just different titles. And I think if they made it a bit more subtle, it would have been the scariest movie, you know, it would have earned that tagline. But the subtlety's not there, and especially in the end, just, I cannot get around the cheesiness of the last 2 minutes. It's emphasized because the rest of the movie is that good. And that is just glaring. It wasn't like Texas Chainsaw, which I still don't know if I liked or not. Where it's like, oh, you should feel sorry for Leatherface. It wasn't like that. It wasn't something that comes out of the blue. It was something very, very contrasting. Because you could see in Texas Chainsaw where they build up to that. This one is just horror, 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 comedy. For no reason. But that's not enough for me to say that it's a bad movie, because it really, really isn't. It's not what they advertised. It's not the scariest movie ever made, and oh, this is something that does piss me off. Every promotion they had for it was, oh, we use traditional effects. No, they didn't. The makeup is traditional. The blood isn't. The blood is CGI. And that really, really pissed me off. It's better than most horror movies where it's there for a flash and disappears in the middle of the screen. Looking at the Saw series, Texas Chainsaw, oh god, Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie one. looking at them, especially Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But, like, I think it's used better, but they should have done traditional effects for it. But I can also understand, especially in the scene where one girl's arm is missing, is blood dripping down. Well, both her arms are missing, but one's duct tape. I don't want to get too far into it, but you can see the blood dripping down. That's where it's very evident to CGI. That would be very hard to do with traditional effects because her entire arm, hey, farmer's champ, her entire arm is showing. There's no shirt sleeve. I can see how that would be hard. Don't get me wrong. But it's glaring. It is very glaring that it's fake. It's very glaring that some of the makeup effects that they said they did were very, very fake. They were very much CGI, not makeup. And I think a lot of it, to make the Deadites look unnatural, was, hey, let's run it through a filter to make them look unnatural, and it kind of makes them look animated. And it makes the CGI more noticeable, and it makes the makeup look less like a traditional effect. That being said, again, this is a very, very gory and good horror movie. Just don't expect a lot of outstanding acting, outstanding moments of subtle scares. It's very brutal, very in your face, and for the most part pretty well written. Just one more thing. Stick around after the credits. I knew there was going to be a stinger because they advertised for it on IMDb. Bruce Campbell was going to be in the new Evil Dead movie, and he's going to be after the credits. We're in the theater, and it was, you know, before everyone got off work. Everyone starts to leave, and I looked at my girlfriend and said, "Why is everyone leaving? There's a stinger." So apparently someone heard me, so they stayed, and we're watching the rest of the credits, and then the stinger happens. It's short, it's sweet, but it's awesome. Yeah, it's a funny moment, but after something that intense, and if they made the last 2 minutes as scary as the rest of the movie, it would have been an awesome offset. It would have been something that was there just to get the audience to relax and chuckle, especially old Evil Dead fans like myself. And yes, excuse me, it is Bruce Campbell. I'm just gonna leave it there. But, yeah. If I were to give this movie a grade, I'd say it's a B. Not B+. Close to it. But it's a B, definitely. And I don't mean that as B horror movie. Kind of. But I don't mean it like that, really. I mean on that grading scale, because it is a good movie. There is a lot of scares. There's a lot of brilliant moments in it. But the beginning, I shouldn't say the very beginning, but when they introduce the 5 friends, and the last 2 minutes this could have been done a lot better. The middle of the movie and Bruce Campbell's cameo is definitely worth it, though. If you don't want to watch it in theaters, it's not absolutely necessary, but definitely rent it when it comes out on DVD or when it's on Netflix, Blue, or Redbox, whatever. See it at some point. Well, anyway, I gotta get back to some painting, some other work. I will be recording new Brain Chunk Food here shortly, and hopefully I'll get one out by the end of the month, if not by early May. Until then, I'm signing off. I'll see you guys later.